She was caught in a hotel with her ex's wife after saying she was at a seminar, proof she's been lying for weeks. I was still standing in the doorway when the door bounced off the latch and swung all the way open, that heavy hotel door whooshing like it was announcing the drama. The room smelled like generic citrus cleaner and perfume. The TV was on mute, some nature documentary flickering green light across the bed. And there she was, my girlfriend, Nina, halfway between the window and the bed, barefoot, in an oversized t-shirt I didn't recognize. Sitting on the edge of the bed, socks off, hair damp like she'd just showered, was Tessa. Yes, that Tessa, her ex's wife. The same woman she'd told me she barely knew, except for the odd social thing. Both of them froze when they saw me. Nina's face went through shock, guilt, anger, panic in about 2 seconds. Tessa's eyes went wide and then down, like she was suddenly deeply interested in the ugly hotel carpet. The keycard was still in my hand. I realized I'd bent it almost in half. My heart was doing that stupid loud pounding where you can hear it in your ears. Nina took one step toward me, bare feet slapping the carpet, lifting a hand like she could physically push the scene back into the room and shut the door on it. "Liam," she said, my name, stretched out and thin. "What are you doing here?" Her voice cracked on the last word. I looked past her at the 2 rumpled pillows on one side of the bed, at the 2 wine glasses on the little table, at Tessa's phone line screen up with a half-typed message. My mouth felt dry. "I was just thinking the same thing," I said. "Because last I checked, you were at a professional development seminar near the airport. Not here. In a riverfront hotel. With your ex's wife. This was last Saturday. I'm 33M, she's 31F. We've been together just over 5 years, living together for 3. I'm posting from a throwaway because some of our friends mainline Reddit like it's TikTok, and I'm not ready for the dude texts. I don't even know if I'm looking for advice or just trying to make sense of the last month of my life." Okay, context. Nina and I met at work, but not in a scandalous way. We were both at the same mid-sized nonprofit, me in IT, her in fundraising. First conversation was her hovering over my desk, annoyed because her laptop was being a dick. I fixed whatever it was in like 2 minutes, and she brought me a coffee the next day with "To the Tech Wizard" written on the cup. That turned into lunch, then drinks, then the whole slow build-up. She told me about her ex early on, in that oversharing on a third date way. His name is Mark. They were together 4 years, from uni house parties to maybe we'll move in together. It blew up in messy fashion. Her version has always been that they were bad for each other, that he was controlling and flirty with other women, that she stayed longer than she should have out of familiarity. About a year after they split, he met Tessa. They did the whirlwind thing, got married within 2 years. "They're perfect for each other," Nina said once, half bitter, half sincere. "She likes being the diplomat. He likes being the chaos. It's like a sitcom couple." I met them a handful of times at mutual events, someone's birthday, a housewarming, that kind of thing. Mark was exactly as advertised, loud, funny in a way that makes you tired, a little too handsy with everyone. Tessa was warm. That's the word that comes to mind. She had that therapist energy, soft voice, intense eye contact, remembers everyone's names. She and Nina were polite with each other, slightly stiff at first, then gradually more relaxed as the years went on. There's a specific night that keeps replaying in my head now. About a year and a half ago, some friends had a barbecue at their place. It rained halfway through, so we all crammed into the living room. Mark disappeared with some guys to play FIFA. I walked in from the kitchen to see Nina and Tessa sitting cross-legged on the floor, leaning toward each other, laughing over something on Tessa's phone. Tessa's hand was on Nina's knee in that casual, friendly way. It barely registered at the time. Nina drove us home that night, humming along to the radio. I remember saying, "You and Tessa seem to get along better these days," and she shrugged and said, "She's not the enemy. We have more in common than I thought." I filed that under progress and didn't think much else of it. The seminars started about 2 months ago. Nina got a new manager at work who's big on professional development. Suddenly, there were lots of lunchtime webinars and evening workshops. She'd come home with booklets about donor psychology and narrative fundraising. I teased her about the buzzwords. She rolled her eyes. All very normal. Then one Wednesday, she said over dinner, "There's a weekend seminar thing coming up. It's like a 2-day intensive on major gifts. We get a discount through work. I'm thinking of going." When I asked. End of the month, she said. Saturday and Sunday, at one of the hotels by the river. Fancy, I said. Should I expect you to come back with a name tag and a new personality? She laughed. I'll come back with some tactics to squeeze more money out of rich people, which you'll benefit from indirectly, so you're welcome. I didn't think it was weird. People do seminars. Around the same time, Mark and Tessa apparently hit a rough patch. That's what Nina told me, anyway. We were doing that couple thing of scrolling our phones next to each other in bed when she said, "Oh, wow. Mark and Tessa are doing a trial separation." Oh, I looked up. Since when? Apparently since before Christmas, she said, waving her phone. She's staying with a friend. He's still in the apartment. Yikes. Poor Tessa, I said. I can't imagine that's fun. Yeah, Nina said. We've talked a bit. She's not great. You and her talk? I asked, surprised. We follow each other on Insta, she said. She replied to a story and it turned into venting. It's not that deep. I let it slide. It actually seemed kind of mature. Two women who share history with the same guy, commiserating now that he's being his usual self. But then Nina started mentioning Tessa more and more. Tessa went to that brunch place on King Street. She said it sucked. Tessa sent me the funniest screenshot of Mark trying to be deep. Tessa's looking at courses too. She's thinking about changing careers. At some point, Tessa and the seminar merged. I think Tessa's going to the same weekend thing, Nina said one night, rinsing plates. She saw my story about it and messaged me. That's cool, I said. At least you'll know someone there. Yeah, she said. We can be the jaded 30-somethings rolling our eyes in the back. The plan, as she laid it out, was seminar both days, stay at the hotel Saturday night because the schedule ran late, and it's just easier than padding back and forth on the train. She'd booked the room on her card, she said, but work would reimburse part of it. I didn't love the idea of sleeping alone on a weekend, but whatever, I'm not a barnacle. I figured I'd play video games, eat cereal for dinner, live like a goblin for 24 hours. The first weird thing was small, the name on the hotel charge. I handle most of the joint bills because spreadsheets weirdly calm me. The Thursday before seminar weekend, I was paying off the credit card when I saw Riverstone Hotel, $382.60 pending. That was more than one night in a standard room. We'd talked about one night, maybe two if the Sunday ended late. Hey, I called into the living room where she was half watching TV, half on her phone. How many nights is the seminar thing? Just one, she said, not looking up. Saturday. Because this charge looks like two, I said. Unless they're charging you in gold. She frowned, paused the show, walked in. Let me see. I tilted the laptop. She glanced at it for maybe half a second and went, oh, that's probably the deposit. They put a hold on the card and it falls off later. It's in the info sheet. You sure? I asked. It's showing as a charge, not a hold. Babe, she said, with that patronizing softness she uses when she thinks I'm spiraling. It's fine. I'll forward you the email. She never did. And yeah, I could have pressed, but you pick your battles, right? It felt petty to die on the hotel accounting hill. Seminar weekend came. She packed a little overnight suitcase Friday night. Laptop, notebook, 2 dresses in case I spill something. A pair of heels she rarely wears anymore. You look very donor ready, I said as she twirled in front of the mirror Saturday morning. That's the idea, she said. She came over, wrapped her arms around my neck, kissed me lingeringly. I'll text you from the glamorous world of conference coffee. She left around 8:30 a.m. The first few hours, she did text. A selfie in a conference room with a lanyard on. SOS, send memes. A picture of a sad muffin. This is what my $400 bought. There was a shot of the river from the lobby. At least the view's good. At 4 p.m., she texted. Last session. Might go for drinks with people after. Don't wait up for dinner if you're hungry, red heart. Normal. Around 8 p.m., nothing. I sent. How's the networking? Sold any kidneys yet? No response. 9:30. I sent. Alive? At 10, my phone buzzed with her name. Sorry, reception in this place is trash. We're just wrapping up at the bar. Tessa's a mess, lol. I'm going to crash soon. Early start TMRW. Something about that text stuck under my skin. It was the reception is trash bit. I'd stayed at that hotel once for a work thing. The Wi-Fi was better than our apartments. I told myself to chill. I played games until midnight, then went to bed. Woke up around 3 a.m. to pee and on autopilot opened Find My. We share locations because she's tiny and has a knack for taking the last train home, and I worry. Her little dot was not where it should have been. It wasn't at the Riverstone Hotel, the one by the river where the seminar was. It was about 10 minutes down the road at a cheaper business hotel near the highway. I stared at it for a while, convinced the app was having a stroke. Closed it. Reopened it. Same spot. I zoomed in. Harborview Suites. Weird. But maybe, I thought, maybe that's where they booked the conference rooms and the River Hotel was just, I don't know, a sponsor? I was foggy with sleep and good at making excuses, apparently. The next morning, she texted at 8. Morning. Halfway through bad coffee. How's my favorite nerd? I wanted to ask about the location. I didn't. I asked about the seminar instead. She sent a picture of a PowerPoint slide with too many bullets and a selfie with Tessa pulling a face in the background, which threw me for a loop because I didn't know they were that close. Tessa looks rough, I wrote. She is, Nina replied. Mark's being a dick. We'll talk when I get home. She came home around 6 p.m. Sunday, tired, a little hoarse from talking all day. She dropped her bag by the door and immediately collapsed on the couch, head in my lap. Learn anything useful? I asked, running my fingers through her hair. Yeah, she said. Rich people love the sound of their own names. I almost brought up the Harborview thing. Almost. But she smelled like supermarket shampoo and hotel aircon, and it just felt, I don't know, petty. The second weekend away was where stuff really started to unravel. Yes, there was a second one. That's how she put it, at least. 2 weeks later, she mentioned offhandedly, there's a follow-up seminar next month. Shorter one. Tessa's going too. We might share a room to save costs. A weird discomfort moved through me. Share a room. I repeated. It's 2 queen beds, she said. My boss actually suggested it. We have a tiny travel budget. It's not like I'm sharing with Mark. I didn't have any logical argument besides, this makes my stomach hurt, so I just nodded. Then little things piled up. Her phone, which had always lived face up on the table or couch, started living in her pocket or upside down. Notifications turned into one new message, instead of names and previews. I'd walk into the room, and she'd swipe out of apps quickly. One night, she left her laptop open while she went to have a shower. It pinged with an email. I glanced over without thinking and saw the subject line. Harborview Suites, booking confirmation. Harborview, the business hotel from the Find My dot at 3 a.m. Curiosity overrode my fear of being that boyfriend. I clicked. It was a 2-night booking. The name on the reservation, Tessa Lane and Nina Carter. 1 room, king bed. My stomach dropped. The seminar email she'd showed me earlier in the week clearly listed the official hotel as the Riverstone again. There was no mention of Harborview anywhere. When she came out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, steam following her, I closed the laptop and pretended I hadn't seen anything. Here's the part where people will yell at me. I didn't confront her right away. I kept trying to get more context, more proof, as if what I'd already seen wasn't enough. I think part of me needed the hammer blow instead of just the suspicious drip. The hammer came in the form of my friend Sam, of all people. Sam does AV work. He freelances for conferences, sometimes setting up projectors and microphones and whatever black magic makes PowerPoints appear. I'd totally forgotten that when Nina told me about her seminar. Friday afternoon before the second seminar, I got a text from him. Yo, are you at Riverstone this weekend too? I replied, nah, why? Doing AV for some fundraising thing. Thought I saw Nina on the attendee list. Fancy pants. There was a beat where I just stared at the bubbles on the screen. Then, yeah, she's there. What? He sent back. Just saw her in the lobby with some woman. They checked into Harborview though. Thought the conference put them up here. My mouth went dry. What woman? Short hair, glasses, nice jacket, looked stressed lol. They seemed close, but I only saw them from behind. Might be nothing. Ignore me if I'm stirring shit. I knew exactly who he was describing. I sat with that for about 10 minutes, feeling like my skin didn't fit. Then I did the thing I never thought I'd be the person to do. I got in my car and drove to the hotel. It was late afternoon. The sun was that gross low angle that makes everything look like a stock photo. I parked in the Harborview lot, sat there for a good 5 minutes rehearsing what I'd say, and then realizing rehearsing anything for a conversation like that is pointless. I went to the front desk, tried to look casual and not like my entire insides were melting. Hi, I said. My partner's staying here, but her phone died. Can you put a call through to her room, or tell me what room she's in? Nina Carter. She's sharing with Tessa. Lane. The woman at the desk did a couple of clicks, glanced up with that bored hotel expression. 504, she said. Shall I call up for you? No, it's okay, I said. I'll go up. The elevator felt like it was moving through syrup. My reflection in the mirrored wall looked blank. I could feel my heart in my throat. I kept telling myself I was overreacting, that I'd get up there and find them in seminar clothes with notebooks, that this was all one big misunderstanding I could laugh about later. I knocked on 504. Muted noises inside, a laugh, the clink of glass. Then shuffling. A pause. The chain slid. The door cracked, then opened fully. And there they were. Nina barefoot, hair up in a messy bun she definitely hadn't left the apartment with, wearing a large t-shirt that looked suspiciously like it might have been Tessa's. Tessa sitting on the bed in leggings and a camisole, hair damp, bare shoulders, no visible second bed in sight. 2 half-full wine glasses on the nightstand. Room service tray near the door. Nina's face went white. Liam, she breathed. Tessa's hand flew to her chest like she'd been shot. I remember this weird, detached part of my brain thinking, of course it's the kind of hotel that has crown molding but crappy art. Anything to not think about the actual thing in front of me. What are you doing here? Nina managed. I was in the neighborhood, I said, because my mouth was on autopilot and my brain had clearly gone offline. Thought I'd pop by the seminar. But you're not at the seminar hotel, are you? She opened and closed her mouth a few times, like she was scrolling through excuses. We moved, she said finally. It was too noisy at Riverstone. Everyone was partying. We wanted some space to decompress. She gestured vaguely at Tessa, as if Tessa being there was the answer and not the question. It's not what it looks like, she added. Of course she did. I stepped just inside the doorway. The carpet felt weirdly soft under my shoes. Okay, I said. Let's play that game. Tell me what it looks like to you. We're talking, she said, too quickly. She's going through a lot, and we wanted somewhere neutral to talk, I repeated. In a king bed. At a hotel you didn't mention. After weeks of lying about where you're staying. Tessa finally spoke up then, voice quiet. Liam, she said. I'm so sorry. Don't, I said, holding up a hand, still staring at Nina. Just don't. Please. There was a long, horrible pause. How long? I asked finally, still looking at Nina. She swallowed. It's not like that, she said. How long? She flinched. Tessa looked at her, then down at the bedspread, picking at a loose thread like if she tugged hard enough, she'd unravel reality. A few weeks, Nina said. We've been talking a lot since she left Mark. It started with the seminar planning, and then, I don't know. It got complicated. Define complicated, I said, my voice weirdly calm. Nina's lip trembled. We kissed, she said. A few times. We've slept in the same bed. But it's not like what you're thinking. It wasn't some big plan to. To what? I asked. To cheat on me with your ex's wife? Saying it out loud made it sound like a plot in a bad Netflix show. And yet, there I was, standing in the middle of it. I don't honestly remember how I left the room. I remember Nina reaching out like she was going to grab my arm, and me stepping back so sharply I almost walked into the wall. I remember the hallway being too bright, the elevator doors taking forever to close, the lobby music being offensively cheerful. Back in my car, I just sat there. No music, no tears, just numb. I watched a couple check in, the man juggling suitcases, the woman laughing at something he said, and it felt like they were in a different universe. Nina texted while I was still in the parking lot. Please don't do anything drastic. Come home so we can talk. I'll come back now. Please, Liam. I drove home. Not because of the text, really. Just because I had nowhere else to go. She beat me there by about 10 minutes. When I walked in, her suitcase was half unzipped by the door, clothes spilling out like she'd just dumped it. She was standing in the middle of the living room, hands twisting in the hem of her t-shirt. Please sit, she said. I'd rather stand, I replied. We had the conversation everyone has in these posts. The one I've read 100 times and never thought I'd be acting out. She said it wasn't planned, that Tessa had reached out more after the separation, that Nina had felt like the only one who understood what it was like to be with Mark. They'd started talking late into the night, at first about him, then about everything else. Work, pressure, feeling stuck. She gets it, Nina said, eyes red. The way he makes you feel like you're overreacting all the time. We'd be texting, and I'd suddenly realize it was 2 a.m. Then there was a night after a networking event where they'd both been drinking, gone back to Tessa's friend's place to talk. She kissed me, Nina said. I pulled away. I told her it was a bad idea. But I also didn't leave. We slept in the same bed and nothing happened that time. I convinced myself it was just comfort. Then the seminar gave us an excuse to see each other without Mark around. And, I said, when she trailed off. And we hooked up, she said, barely audible. Once. At the last one. I hated myself immediately. I told her we couldn't do it again. But we kept talking. And when the second seminar came up, she gestured helplessly. I know how it looks. I know I've been lying. I didn't know how to stop without blowing everything up. You blew it up anyway, I said. You just made sure you enjoyed the view on the way. That made her sob. Real ugly sobs. The kind where you can't catch your breath. I watched her cry and felt this weird disconnect. My body reacting on autopilot, an instinct to comfort, and my brain pulling back like, no. She's the one who did this. She said she loved me. That she'd never stopped. That whatever was happening with Tessa was about something else. Her sexuality, maybe, or unresolved stuff with Mark, or some mid-30s crisis about identity. I didn't cheat because I didn't love you, she said. I cheated because I was broken, and she was broken, and we tried to patch ourselves with each other. That's a nice metaphor, I said. It's also bullshit. Broken or not, you still had choices. You still chose to lie every step of the way. We went in circles for hours. She offered everything. She'd cut off contact with Tessa completely, change jobs, go to therapy, hand me her phone, whatever I wanted. I'll sleep on the couch, she said. I'll move out if you need me to. Just, please don't throw 5 years away without trying to fix this. The thing is, from her perspective, that's not a crazy request. People do work through affairs. Reddit makes everything sound very all or nothing, but real life is messy. From my perspective, I don't know if I can ever look at her and not see that hotel room overlaid on top of whatever we're doing. Her in a seminar lanyard at a podium bleeding into her in an oversized t-shirt in a king bed with someone else. I left that night. Packed a bag with some clothes, my laptop, the cat's favorite toy. He stayed. Obviously, he's obsessed with her. And went to crash on my brother's couch. Nina didn't try to stop me. Just stood in the doorway with this hollow look in her eyes. It's been a week. We've talked twice, both times mostly logistics, bills, the lease, whether I want her to tell our mutual friends, or if I will. She sent a couple of long emails apologizing, trying to untangle her own motives in real time. They read like a cross between a diary and an essay. I don't know where I'm at yet. Some moments I'm like, screw this, she betrayed you in a wildly creative way, get out and never look back. Other moments, I'm staring at old photos of us making dinner together and thinking, is that really it? Is this how it ends? What makes it extra weird is that she cheated gay? Bi? I don't even know what label to stick on it. There's a particular flavor of confusion as a straight guy when your girlfriend cheats with another woman. Part of your brain tries to turn it into porn, like some gross little goblin, and you have to fight that off because it's not hot. It's devastation. Another part whispers, well, you couldn't have competed anyway, like that makes it easier. It doesn't. What I've landed on so far. It doesn't matter that Tessa is a woman. What matters is that Nina built a secret, intimate relationship behind my back and lied repeatedly to protect it. It doesn't really matter that Mark is in the mix, except as extra layers of soap opera insanity. This would hurt just as much if it were some random coworker. I don't have to decide right now if I'm staying or going. I'm allowed to sit in the I don't know for a minute, even if Reddit's default answer is dump them yesterday. If you read all this, thanks. I don't know if there's a neat takeaway beyond the obvious. Trust your gut. I had little alarms going off, hotel charges, weird location pings, sudden intense friendships, and I kept hitting snooze because I didn't want to be jealous or controlling. She was caught in a hotel with her ex's wife after saying she was at a seminar. That's the headline version. The quieter truth is that she'd been slowly leaving our relationship in 1,000 smaller ways long before I swiped that keycard. I'm just trying to decide now if there's anything left worth rebuilding on, or if the foundation's too cracked to stand on at all.